Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
Welcome to season number 12 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge here on Apex Racing TV, where the best virtual GMP, GTP, LMP2, and GT3 racers in the world do battle. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and joining me in the announce booth, as always, Larry Lefty McLeod, with Jonathan Grabowski working behind the scenes to give you all the best views of tonight's 75-minute run to the checkered flag. Tonight, we head to the Finger Lakes region of New York State, where 75 years ago, sports car lovers first took to the streets of a sleepy lakeside village to determine which drivers and which cars reigned supreme. Kind of sounds like Iron Chef there for a second. With a layout of over 6.5 miles and spectators cheered from the sidewalks just inches from the action, it didn't take long before somebody noticed that there was a need for increased safety, and that would eventually lead to the construction of a purpose-built facility with a shorter, safer, and I'm using air quotes here when I say safer, 4.6-mile street course acting as a bridge from 1953 to 1955. Opening in 1956 and modified many times since, Watkins Glen International has become known as much for its speed as its pretty blue Armco walls that ring all 3.5 miles and 11 turns. Good evening, Larry, and welcome back to the Glen.
It is good to be back. You know how I feel about the Glen. I'm ready to already go for some ice cream downtown. Can we do that? Maybe at the commercial break, we'll just kind of sneak away and Get a little ice
There
cream.
are many options that we can choose.
So many to choose. They're all really good. But I wasn't here for the opening round 2 weeks ago, the World Challenge new season, but I am excited that I am back here. I can see already that things are happening. It's not the same old anymore. We've got some new fast people who are out to be challenged. And I love it. I think it's great. I think it's going to be a good season here as we start round number 2 here at the Glen.
That's right. And after our opening round earlier, well, as you said, just 2 weeks ago, where we were at Sebring for another 75-minute race, and we'll catch everybody up on what happened there 2 weeks ago in case you missed the broadcast. Larry, it was certainly exciting. Certainly some big surprises in week 1. Lots of new faces, and also, especially in the case of the GT3 class, a lot of new Acuras.
Yeah.
and I think we're going to see those again here this week as well. We're currently underway with qualifying, a little bit over halfway through the 15-minute qualifying session, where we give each of our drivers across our 3 different classes, GTP, LMP2, and GT3, 4 separate opportunities, 4 flying laps in which to set their fastest lap and set the grid for this evening's race. And as you can see, we've got at the moment Dave Menino, our fastest GTP racer, although that is no longer, as Ben Rose now goes to the top of the leaderboard in his DNA Acura. In LMP2, Josh Chinsky, who was our last season's winner, is currently sitting atop that class, and Akira Iwata, who is racing now for the Orion Racing team. And it is just about 8 o'clock in the morning for Akira, as he is phoning it in from Japan. And he currently leads the pretty extensive GT3 class there in one of the Orion Acuras as they've moved over from last year's chassis. And if we take a look here, you can pick out our GT3 racers, well, because of course they're the only GT cars really. They have the red number boards on the sides of their cars, like Leo Dragotta here, red mirrors, number boards, I think I already mentioned, windshield banners, as well as end plates on the wings. If we take a look over at our LMP2 racers, we've got Adam Johnson in the 319 machine, who's coming to a complete stop. But you'll notice that Adam, if we were a little closer and he didn't just disappear, he's got blue number boards on his car, blue mirrors, windshield banners, and end plates on the wings. We can pick those up from here as he's on the pit lane now. And our GTP racers, and I think we've got 2 racers still out, Jim Pfeiffer and Aaron Beaver. There is Aaron Beaver. The GTP racers have the black number boards, black mirrors, black end plates on the wings, and black windshield banners. That's how you're going to tell the 2 prototype classes apart. GTP is black, LMP2 is blue, much like the timing tower on the left-hand side of the screen there.
Exactly the same one. But yeah, it's apparently been some good pace here for the Acuras in the GT3 Pro, of course, but also even in GTP right now with Ben Rose at the top of the leaderboard driving one of those Acuras. And so this will be a good little manufacturer's fight here with Acura diving in now to the GT3 game to match their already pretty good speed in GTPs. And it also looks like the Orion group has come in full force this season.
Yes, they have definitely upped their numbers. I know last week, Larry, I think we only had 1 Orion racer in the Mini Mite Sports Car Challenge, and now we've got about 300 of them here.
They were all in their Acuras GT3s practicing for this week. Meanwhile, for Leo Dragotta, he decided to run 1 week in the sports cars, but he's back here as well. So this is going to be a huge night for Orion. Obviously, they had a pretty good sweep in the first round. We'll get to all that in a little bit, but they are certainly a force to be reckoned with when you look down the list of qualifying even so far.
All right, Larry, let's do this. We've got a newcomer to the series sitting in the green room waiting for us right now. Let's talk to him. That is Trevor Anderson. He's driving the number 98 HSR Phantom Racing LMP2 Delara, and he finished 3rd in in our opening round of the series, getting off to a pretty good start here in the World Challenge.
All right, joined here with Trevor Anderson. First season here in the Ricmotech series. Trevor, what's your impression so far?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's a great group of drivers. Everyone's really talented. I got a good team behind me with HSR Phantom, and yeah, I'm just having a lot of fun. I'm glad that I can kind of be up there mixing it up in the front, and the broadcast looks great. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking at the qualifying here so far. You got 10 drivers in the field tonight in the LMP2s. You're right now on the outside of that front row. Do you like this level of competition when you get in this group? I mean, it's a pretty tight packed group, some really fast drivers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I love the LMP2. It's such a well balanced car, and I'm glad that I can be up front. Chinsky, he's amazing. That lap that he set was incredible. So I'm just gonna be. Hopefully, I can keep up with him tonight.
Well, he has been a force here already in the seasons before, so he's a good benchmark. I'll put it that way. But coming into this, it's such a hotly contested series. You can see multiple classes, lots of things going on. But I really like to understand, what do you do outside of sim racing, maybe in between getting ready to come here and run races like this?
Well, aside from work, just kind of hanging out. I like to play video games, like Breath of the Wild, Red Dead Redemption. I play a little bit of hockey sometimes. And in the summer, I'll go do autocross in my Civic. So those are my main things.
All right, well, good. Autocross, that's my world, so
Yep.
I'm happy to hear that. And that's always a good time. But it's good practice here in the wintertime to get onto the sim, I find, and be running up here. Have you done any real-world track stuff? Any chance to get out to places like Watkins Glen?
No, nothing on a real track. The most I've done is a little bit of go-karts here and there, and then of course autocross. But hopefully, as I get a little bit older, get a little bit more money in my pocket, maybe get out on track soon.
Yeah, the price goes up a little bit when you step off the sim rig for sure.
Yep.
But all right, well, good luck tonight. But is anybody you wanted to mention, give a shout out to here before we get to the grid?
Oh yeah, just thanks to my wife Sloan and my dad. They've been a huge support for me and just always watching races with me, and I'm sure they're both watching right now. So yeah, just love them both, and yeah, hope to put on a good show.
Well, good luck, and with any good chance, maybe we'll get to talk to you at the end of this thing tonight.
Okay, thank you.
All right, there you go, everybody. That is Trevor Anderson, driver of the number 98 HSR Phantom Racing Dallara. That's one of our LMP2 entries. And Larry, since Trevor's out in Iowa, I think probably the closest road course to him is the 1.3 mile infield road course at Iowa Speedway. I wouldn't want to go race there either from looking at the layout.
It may not be too far from Audubon outside Chicago, Blackhawk.
Oh, yeah,
There's a few
maybe.
things not too far from his world.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, he gets a good price on E85, that's for sure. All right. Anyway, let's go and run down the starting order for tonight's race here. Larry, tell you what, why don't you take the prototypes? I'll take the GTs, if that'll work for you.
All right, sounds good. Let's start with our GTPs. And on the pole tonight in that Acura from DNA Motorsports, it's Ben Rose. But on his outside from SRT Esports, driving one of the Cadillacs, Dave Veneno. Second row on the inside, another one of the DNA entries, this Jordan Butler, I believe, had the win in the opening round 2 weeks ago. He'll be lined up alongside his nemesis from that race, who finished second there. That would be Bailey Petrowski. On row 3, on the inside, from Solpac Precision Racing, Nathan Ray. And on the outside, from Invictus Temerario, and I don't see the rest of it, is Bobby Childs, of course, Bailey's teammates. On row 4, on the inside, it's the third of our DNA entries, Tanner Dibble, lined up alongside the fourth of our DNA drivers, Ryan Reisman. On row 5 on the inside, Jake Zidow from HSR Phantom Racing, alongside Rockefeller Racing GTP's Charlie Hosea. Row 6, it's Dalton Fredericks on the inside from HSR, and the outside Jimbo Pfeiffer from Sector 5 Racing, and then finally we've got Aaron Beaver from Invictus rounding out our 7th row. Then we get to our LMP2, so we kind of mentioned him a little bit there, the speed he brings, and no different tonight. Your pole sitter, Josh Chinsky from SRT Esport, alongside our pre-race interviewee, HSR Phantom Racing's Trevor Anderson. Row 2 on the inside, Rockefeller Racing LMP2, Avon Dorsey, alongside SRT Esport, Kyle Strikers. Third row, Chase West from Lead Paw Racing, alongside Caleb Lehman from SRT Esports. Then you got Josh Vidal from HSR alongside Adam Johnson from The Wrong Stuff. Another Lead Paw driver, Chris Hampton, alongside Marlon Jones, also from Lead Paw Racing.
All right, let's move over now to our GT3 racers. And starting on the pole, our round one winner, Akira Iwata from Orion Race Team. He is going to be starting right next to his teammate, Mike Dam, who's going to be to his left. Milan Harris will start in third today from Rockefeller Racing, with Leo Dragota, another Orion racer, starting in fourth. Then we've got Taj Edwards, another Orion racer, going to be starting in fifth position in his Acura, with John Kroom starting in sixth position. Kroom also driving in Acura. He's racing for Rockefeller. Then in the next row, we have, and this is row number 4, we've got Travis Schwenke from Orion, and Dan Carrillo will be racing for Saints and Sinners Racing. And Larry, we should mention all of our top 8 drivers in Acuras. Then, starting in ninth position, Ilya Speaker, our first non-Acura. He is going to be racing in the Rockefeller Racing McLaren, with Jennifer McDonald in the number 99 BTL Motorsports Chevrolet Corvette. Then we've got Jeff Jacobs in the number 38 SCCA Foundation Ford Mustang, with another Mustang driven by Alex Brown. That's the Eagle Beavers machine. He is going to start in 14th position. Starting 15th, Chad Sebring from Close Enough Crew. He's in the number 199 Porsche, with Zach Mosley to his left, driving the number 37 SimCity Racing Ford Mustang. Then we have Keith Stein. Keith is in the number 48 Chevrolet Corvette, racing for Rockefeller Racing, with the Invictus, I still can't get this right, Invictus Temerario Corsa machine that is gonna, we have to blame Bobby Childs for this. Of course, that's David Payton racing in a Ferrari, and I think all of the what was formerly known as D2D, I think they're all racing in Ferraris this season.
NTC.
Yes. Then we've got David Klimovich from Slow Bros Racing. Klimovich will start in 21st position, with Andre Witterburn starting next to him in the McLaren, starting 22nd. Then we've got Bruno Belny in his Porsche. That's the number 17 machine. He will be starting 23rd, with Sam Nasheed starting 24th. Sam is in the number 65 McLaren. Then we've got Lucas Dragota in the 119 McLaren, alongside Chuck Labano, starting 27th. And in 28th, we've got Russ Ruddock 27th. We've got John Sterling 28th, both in Ford Mustangs. Then we've got Adam Ballard and John Casey. They are going to make up row number 15, starting 29th and 30th, both in Chevrolet Corvettes. And starting 31st, we've got Greg Brockway, also in a Chevrolet Corvette, with Rocky Rocco from Rockefeller Racing. He will be starting 32nd on the field in GT3 as our pace car on the pit lane, turning the field over, Larry, and we have a green flag. We are underway here at WGI, where Ben Rose goes from the pole, jumps ahead of Dave Meneno as they head down into the 90 into turn 1. Bailey Petrowski side by side with Jordan Butler, but Butler goes around, Larry, and he's going to fall all the way back to the rear of the GTP pack, as our LMP2 racers now getting the green flag, and they are underway as well.
Well, let's watch for it. We've seen these big fields have issues on opening laps before. Let's hope we don't have any here today.
And the green flag is now given to the GT3s, and they are underway. Jumping out to the side there was the Corvette, Jennifer McDonald, and I think she's going to try to make a run down the inside, as we've got Mike Dam going around the outside on teammate Iwata, but Dam runs wide. Iwata has the inside position as he is side by side with Dam as they start to head up through the S's for the very first time. Leo Dragota, their Orion teammate, directly behind. Then you've got the Rockefeller Racing Acura of Milan Harris, along with Taj Edwards, John Kroom, Travis Schwenke, and Carrillo, as they all get in a line as they come into
hold your breath.
the bus stop. Oh my gosh.
This is going to be snug. Everybody's got to suck it in. We lost one already. That's
one Acura down. That's Milan Harris into the wall. We lose another car that runs wide, and I think that might have been
Sam Machine,
Chuck Labano. I think
it's
it was
65
either
and the 96.
Yep.
The two that are down. 96 should be Harris, but
Milan Harris was the first one to go around. He was running in the top. He was running in 4th position at the time. We did lose another machine, and I believe yes, exactly, Rashid, that went back as well in the McLaren.
And we had a couple others as well. It looks like Dibble. We saw a little bit of that one. Maybe we'll catch that replay here in a second. Yep. So there's Dibble going through the bus stop. And that is a big spin, and there's the contact.
Cold tires for Dibble as he goes around.
Let's see who it was that made the contact with him.
Yeah.
Was it Jake Zito, perhaps?
Jake Zito, possibly. All right, let's take a look.
Yeah, there's Zito. Yes. He gets caught in that. Unfortunately, he's the one that had nowhere to go. Jake, unfortunately, has to hit that wall is what he ends up hitting. So it's 2 down already.
And of course, Larry, we saw Jordan Butler, who started off in, I think, 3rd or 4th position, going down into turn 1 for the very first time, and he ended up losing it. Let's jump back over to the GT3s as we try to catch up with the action here. We'll take a look at what happened to Milan Harris first, as he had worked his way up in the 3rd.
Oh, he had such a good run to the first half of that bus stop, and then it all fell apart. And separately, it looks like, is the incident involving the McLaren there of Sam Nasheed. Completely independent incidents. Let's check that replay.
So Nasheed started much further back in the pack. He was 24th to take the green.
He got a good run. It looks like he might have tapped into the back of one of the other Rockefeller entries who didn't seem to have an issue there, but Nasheed takes the brunt of that one into the barrier. So back to the front, there's Ben Rose, still leading the pack. Let's catch one more replay here. This is Alex Brown, one of the Eagle Beavers. A little bit of contact there.
Oh, but it could have been so much worse for him and for everybody else, Larry.
Hopefully he'll be able to resume without any significant damage. Certainly no damage to the livery, we hope.
And John, did we ever get to see what happened to Jordan Butler on that opening lap? I think he's the one that we haven't looked at yet. Okay, he dropped from 3rd down to 10th.
He would have been the spin there, I think, in that first turn. Right. The end of the first turn pack.
Yeah, exactly.
But all right, well, we'll catch up with that in a little bit. As already now with this massive 55-car field, the GTPs are already at the back of the GT3s on lap number 4. How are we on lap 4 already? That's right, 3 laps of replays.
I don't know,
of
Larry.
lap 1 incidents. But let's take a look at Ben Rose trying to pick his way through. Meanwhile, at the front of the GT3s, it's Iwata, Dragata, and then Edwards.
Any other Ottas?
Desitage. You can see Mike Dam, the veteran of the pack here, currently in 4th. All teammates right now in front of him. Before we get to the next non-Orion, that's a Rockefeller Racing entry in another one of our Acuras. I think it's John Kroom, actually, the Acura.
Yeah, Kroom was another one in that top 8. Kroom is now up in the 5th position. Ended up taking a spot. I think he started 6th, Larry. Started 6th and moves up a spot with the Acura of Harris dropping back towards the back of the field.
Yeah, it's a pretty good start there. And again, this Acura might be a contender, as it seems. But Kroom, another new name to the field here, coming in with Rockefeller Racing, one of the big outfits typically. But he's certainly willing to mix it up with the rest of those Acuras, all those carrying the Orion livery.
Yeah, Kroom out of the state of Georgia. He's been doing iRacing for now about 4 years. As we jump up, there is Lucas Dragota trying to his best to, let some of this prototype traffic through, but he's also got Chad Sebrin's 199 Porsche. That pink 911 directly ahead of him. That is the battle for 16th position currently.
Yes, we just watched those GTPs try and make their way through right there. So I think that was Dalton Fredericks who flashing the lights there, trying to get through some of these drivers going around at the bottom of the hill and up the S's.
Yeah, and obviously, Larry, up through the S's got to be probably the most difficult and most fraught for these prototype racers, as the GT cars, they are, because of the speeds they're carried, have to move from left to right.
Yeah, well, here we're watching now Jordan Butler. We know he had a turn 1 issue, so now he's going to work his way through the field. Now he's on the tail of Aaron Beaver as they go down through 6 with a train of GT3s. We're going to be saying that all night.
Yeah.
With all of like 32 of them here tonight. It's a busy track for 55 cars. To give you an idea, I think the Daytona 24 had 60-something, the real-life Daytona of last weekend, and Daytona's a little easier track to manage this kind of traffic, unless you're in a BMW or a Corvette. But otherwise, it's an easier track than Watkins Glen. But 55 cars, here's how we do it. Oh, so treacherous. Ricmotech having to back off, can't get underneath Mike Dam. Going into 11, has to wait. And there on his heels is Dalton Fredericks. You can see Fredericks has now the inside line on Ricmotech down the front straight.
And mere inches apart as they come into the 90. And Larry, just to see there how Fredericks can get through that corner, practically hugging the apex curbing. Obviously, you'd never be able to do that at speed with a GT car. But just amazing what a little downforce will do for you.
Yeah, well, here they go now. They're coming down the back straight towards the bus stop.
Oof.
They're able to get through the bus stop, and this is a pretty good fight here for only being 8 minutes into a 75-minute race. They are certainly fighting for position. Butler and Beaver fighting for 8th. Now on the heels of Leo Jagoda. And of course, Iwata there in front, your leader in the GT3s. I tell you,
so
I'm going to GT3 tonight. It's about survival. It's about
survival, exactly.
Yeah, just avoiding getting taken out by GTPs, or we haven't even talked about the LMP2s yet.
Yeah, exactly. They've been they've been minding their P's and Q's so far.
Yeah.
And early on here, Josh Chinsky with opening up a little bit of an advantage over Trevor Anderson, who we spoke to a little bit earlier. Both Chinsky and Anderson had run identical lap times during the midweek practice session. And of course, we saw here in qualifying where Chinsky out-qualified Anderson by a couple of tenths. But right now, and a lot of this I think is owing to traffic. Anderson definitely staying in the hunt in the battle very early on, only about 2 seconds separating our 2 leaders in LMP2.
And then kind of strikers just a couple seconds back from there. So the top group now really just kind of split based on where they are in the GT3 field as they try to make their way through, and that's going to certainly adjust as go.
Either
but that is Bobby Childs.
Yeah, I was just going to say either somebody spun Larry, or we've got a lot of smokers over there in the crowd. And it looks like Bobby Childs had some issues coming out of the inner loop, the bus stop, going into the outer loop. Let's take a look.
Oh, that's a pretty wide line. Not able to bring it back, and it hits that bump. That inside, if you end up across that grass, there's a drainage line there, and the cars essentially just go airborne. But not a lot of damage for Bobby, so it may have worked out just okay. The battle here with Brian Bennett behind her.
So odd to see Bennett, or to see her, pardon me, Jennifer McDonald in something other than a BMW.
Yes. Yeah, very unusual. So obviously in the past, always in one of the BMWs, but switched it up now in a Corvette. Going mid-engine this time around.
As she's looking back at Brian Bennett. Bennett in the Mercedes-AMG GT3. Bennett perhaps a little bit further back in the field than he would like to be.
Yeah.
Currently sitting 10th. He finished in 5th 2 weeks ago at Sebring.
Oh, and that's a spin right there. It's Chuck Lobato involved in that one. He's the GT3 car. I love the gold pop on that paint, but unfortunately it's going to have some dents in it.
Yeah.
Caleb Lehman was our LMP2 driver.
And that is over at turn 9, coming out of the boot. And let's see how it happened here.
I think just a misjudgment there. I mean, they were going fine already at the apex. Nobody spun and slid. I think they just both sort of thought they'd be in the same piece of real estate, and that just didn't go that way. And of course, for Lehman, that's going to take him out of one of the front running positions.
Yeah, indeed, and it looks as though although he's obviously lost a lot of ground, that Chuck Labano has managed to get that Ferrari back underway.
Hey, we've got a Klimovich in the field.
Yes, one Klimovich in the field and one at the hospital, and
another one at the hospital. Not in a bad way, in a good way. As there's a baby Klimovich on the way tonight, even.
That's right. We talked about it last week, Larry, and the time has come. I think it's is it Mike Klimovich that's at the hospital with his lovely wife.
That's the word, and so I think hopefully David can win one for his nephew. Did we decide? What did we say the relationship is there? Niece and nephew. Are they brothers? Or we don't even know. It's another Klimovich.
I think we need
our director says we need a diagram. We need a full flow chart on how the Klimovich tree works.
Exactly.
Homework.
All I know is if David spins or wrecks, it might induce early labor.
Hey, don't stress the baby.
No.
All right, let's get to the front of the field here. As the battle is on now between teammates. Iwata trying to hold off Dragota, and Dragota got a great run through one. Not so much for Iwata. And look at Dragota now. Is he going to pop? Is he going to try and make the move, or he's just going to bump Giraffe like a couple of Miata?
Yeah, I mean, it looked for a moment, Larry, like he wanted to move to driver's right. Iwata had him covered and then moved over to driver's left to open up that corner.
Yeah.
Didn't give a lot of options to young Leo.
Draft like a couple of IT Honda CRXs, but no, these are GT3 Acuras.
Have I told you how hard it is to draft off the back of a CRX?
Especially if you're driving an early gen Civic, they're like so much bigger.
Yes.
Volkswagens are huge compared to those.
Well, we found at Road Atlanta, if you've got a third gen Civic or a first gen CRX, it's a lot easier to draft off the back of the Civic without a doubt. All right, but we don't have any of those cars here. Watching Josh Chinsky now, and that lead that Chinsky had, Larry,
it's gone.
It's gone, and Trevor Anderson and Kyle Strikers, they are both now within shooting distance and striking distance. Strikers in striking distance. See what I did there?
You did.
I'm sure I've used that at least one time before.
Every week.
Yeah, maybe.
And you can see the background actually
Strike me down.
Avon Dorsey not too far out of this, just about 4 seconds back from this front three. But look at the run that Chinsky gets through that opening turn, and you can see that's really where he gaps the cars behind him. If you can get this car turned in and get on the throttle early, you really got to run all the way up the S's down to the bus stop.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound like much, but he picked up about 0.15 of a second just in his run up through the S's. Looks like all of our spectators there at the outer loop have put their cigarettes away. That's good.
That's nice of them. All right, back to the intermixing of classes again. It's GTPs now coming through the GT3s. That is Ilya Speaker still in that battle now on the other side of it. Remember, it was McDonald and Bennett were behind Speaker. Now McDonald and Bennett are both in front of him.
So that drops Speaker now back to 10th.
Yeah. And Chris Thorman now hot on his heels in one of the McLarens. As Dave Meneno tries to navigate through the field there. Meneno's late in his livery this week. He gets the baby blue livery. You gonna make baby jokes? Make a Pro Club baby joke on this?
Yes.
All right, there's Lucas Jagoda. Trying to make the pass there on Chad Sebring. That's for position.
There you go. So move Dragoda now up in the 14th and move Sebring back in the 15th.
Now you'll notice some of these cars have the green windshield banners and number end plates. They're actually part of the GT3 AMs, so they know each other, which class they're in. We just lump them all into GT3s, but there is an AM category out there, and Lucas Jagoda's in it. And you can see the 151 just in front of him, I believe that is also in that class. Is that Wedderburn? Is he a lap down?
So I think Wedderburn is a lap down.
He had some incident. Looks like he spent some time in the pits, so he is down the order a little bit. Oh, look at the speed through the bus stop there for Bailey Petrowski, Nathan Ray. Nathan in one of the Acura GTPs going to try to make moves on the inside of 6. Going to try to push Bailey off his line. Bailey holds his line well as they head down to the toe of the boot. Still nose to tail. Bailey in the Ferrari, Nathan in one of the Acuras.
Yeah, and so a change in chassis for Petrowski here as all of the D2D racers, or pardon me now, the Invictus racers are in the Ferrari chassis. And last season, Bailey ran... Is it the BMW? I always forget.
I thought it might have been the Acura.
He was in, that's right. He was in the Acura. Bobby Childs was in the BMW.
Yeah. But he's Bailey, our defending champ of the class, is struggling just a little bit right now, as he's in third, trying to hold off a hard charging Nathan Ray, the Canadian, now on the heels of Petrowski for multiple laps now.
Yeah, and Petrowski had his work cut out for him at Sebring as well 2 weeks ago, Larry, where Jordan Butler took the win. Petrowski finished over 8 seconds back, still on the lead lap, but he had Dave Menino nipping at his heels at the end of that race. Just not the pace that we're used to seeing from Bailey.
Yeah, just a little bit off his pace here, but we'll see. One thing is he's always consistent, and we'll see how that plays out, especially in a race like this where survival means as much as pace. We'll see if his version of survival can pay off on a 75-minute run.
Oh, and running wide, Larry, we had the 2 Acuras going into turn 6,
Dragotta?
and one of them ran wide. That was Leo Dragotta. And that has now allowed Taj Edwards to pick up a position.
That'll shuffle the Orions around a little bit. I don't know if he's going to have any damage or if he managed to stay off the wall, which would be impressive. Although, there you can see, there's the contact with one of the DNA GTP cars, but he does keep it off the wall. Well done for Dragotta to only lose a couple of spots there. One spot, really, just to teammate Edwards.
And Larry, just got word of a penalty that came in. Caleb Lehman in the LMP2 Dallara just picked up a drive-through penalty for coming across the nose of Chuck Labano's number 346 Chevy Corvette. Interestingly enough, Labano is still out and racing, whereas the 819 car currently in the pits getting
remember,
service.
That's the incident we saw that was over there in turn 9, and Labano kind of lightly tapped the wall, but it looks like Lehman took a bigger hit.
Yeah.
Interesting way for the judges to rule on that one. I guess, you could see Lehman, as the passing car, has the obligation. It was pretty tight between them. Unfortunately, the contact. Lehman, I'm sure his race, he is back out there.
He is back out on course now.
Maybe. Is he? No. If he is, he's several laps down, having spent about 9 minutes.
He is circulating. Yeah, he's working lap 8 currently. So that would put him 5 laps down, or 5 laps down. As we're on board right now with Ben Rose,
who just went around. Was that Chinsky that he just went by? It was one of the LMP2 cars. Yeah,
I believe it was Josh Chinsky that he dropped a lap down. Chinsky now Chinsky, I think it was Chinsky, Anderson, Strikers, and I think Avon Dorsey is closing things up in LMP2 as well. They're currently working their 14th lap. Rose just started 15.
Rose having a pretty good pace here, able to pull a couple seconds now on Menino. Although Petrowski was 8 seconds back, now only to 6. I think some of that's the traffic that we're watching Ben Rose struggling through at times here. Look at him out in the marbles going around 6. And who's that backwards? One of the Rockefeller Racing drivers.
And was that Adam Ballard, I think, Larry?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Adam Ballard. And he goes and takes the tow. Yeah, that was the number 29 Corvette. Let's take a look.
All right, well, he's down in 6. Looks like he's got a good line there. Just a little bit of oversteer.
Yeah.
Not a huge tapper to the wall. I'm surprised he actually called the tow. I guess hard to get turned around down there as you're facing up track. So he will be in the pits. Not a huge repair, at least. We're hearing more penalties being issued, it sounds like, involving the incident between the 907 and the 60. So that's Chris Hampton actually is going to be given the penalty there, and that number 907.
The word from race control was forcing a car off in the braking zone.
And it was Chris Thorman, the number 60, is the car that he came in contact with. So penalty for Hampton. Maybe a replay?
Let's take a look. Here they come down into the bus stop.
Oh yeah, 3 wide at the bus stop, and you can see there he kind of just wiggled a little bit left, and Thorman had nowhere to go. And
I mean, it was a good heads up driving by Thorman that he went straight, that he didn't try and turn in, that it could have ended up a lot worse.
And you can see he just sort of chops him, and Thorman had nowhere to go, and decides the better thing to do is just head up there.
Maybe
he called a tow, so I'm wondering if something.
Yeah,
there may have already been something going with his car.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looked like there was a little bit of contact on the right front of the of Thorman's car, but
shouldn't have been enough to cause any significant damage. But he again may have carried some damage from an earlier incident and felt that was the time to call the tow and head on in as we catch back up to the battle here of Dalton Fredericks and Ryan Reisman. This time now it's Fredericks leading Reisman. The Porsche over the Acura at this point.
And it looks like they've got the Acura of Butler not that far behind.
I see in the chat, Stacy Bertrand's jumped in, cheering on her Rockefeller Racing teammates. Sounds like she's not feeling all that well, so hopefully she feels better, and glad she's at least able to watch her teammates do their thing. Oh, look at the run for Reisman through 1. Oh my goodness. Oof. That was huge. She's going to be able to get by, maybe, past Fredericks. They're going to stay side by side to the S's. Oh, and they are not alone.
What a move. What a move.
Avon Dorsey, the LMP2 car in there. They come up on the 67 of Alex Brown in the GT3 car. It is all sorts of craziness as Reisman somehow gets through all that.
Oh, yeah, let's take a look at that again, Larry.
Yeah. Let's see them as good view here from the choppers. They head down through the 90 here at turn 1. But look at that run for Reisman that sets all this up. And Fredericks is going to stay there. And you can see the traffic, and they just said, oh, sure, we can do this 4 wide. Why not?
Why not? Oof. That right there, that threading of the needle, Larry, is what had me just ready to call it in. All right, let's take a look here as we jump back over to Bailey Petrowski and Nathan Ray. Nathan Ray now running in 3rd, the Canadian in the Acura. There, Bailey Petrowski, as you mentioned, last season's GTP champion, currently sitting in 4th.
Yeah, so they have swapped positions from what we saw earlier, but so now it's Petrowski on the charge. Let's get this replay here of more of this action. There's Petrowski at this point still with the position. Ray going to go to the outside, going into the heel of the boot. Look at him making that stick. Wow. Running the extra downforce tonight.
Well, and luckily, of course, he had that extra room at the runoff there that he could use and open up the wheel and allowed him to carry the speed up into turn 9.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of that. I'm sure you see the same thing in some real-life races as well as here in the sim. A lot of drivers now using that, especially for making it a passing zone. You can open that up, and it gives you 2 lines on exit, which is kind of nice. We head back to live. Not the replay. This is just the next lap for Petrowski.
Yeah, it just looks the same, Larry.
as he's up behind Dan Carrito in that Acura, and now trying to keep up with Nathan Ray, now about a full second ahead of Petrowski.
All right, let's jump back over to our GT3 racers, Larry. We're on board with Leo Dragotta in the 118 Orion Acura.
He had his issue earlier that dropped him down that one position. He was essentially nose to tail with teammate Iwata, now in third, but only half a second behind Taj Edwards. And then, of course, Mike Dam, 6/10 behind Dragotta. So you got these three Orion drivers sitting here in 2, 3, and 4 with the next Orion, Schwenke, behind them. And I'd see going through the pack here, Nathan Ray, which means, yep, there he is, Bailey Petrowski doing the same.
Yeah, and meanwhile, our GT3 leader, Iwata, who is also an Orion racer, he's started to step away from these from his three teammates here. Iwata now with about 3 seconds on Taj Edwards.
You can see him pulling on Edwards there. Remember, though, Iwata had the young Dragotta there with him for the first number of laps until Dragotta had that incident going down through 6. So now Iwata's got to do it himself while Dragotta has to work from behind. I do wonder at some point here as we come up in the 30-minute mark, pit window's got to be open. Does someone like Dragotta take an odd pit stop to maybe try and catch that up?
Yeah, matter of fact, Larry, I wanted to mention this. A bit of a change in the strategy of our race organizers. Oh, Bobby Childs. We saw had issues at the bus stop earlier.
Speaking of pit stops.
And kind of escaped damage that time. Not so lucky. And so what our race organizers have done, Larry, for both the GTP class as well as the GT3 class, they've actually increased the amount of fuel that these cars will carry so that the racers have a little bit more of an option as far as the pit window goes. Because we saw, I think, towards the end of last season, and we saw it 2 weeks ago at Sebring, where the pit window for most of the classes was only a lap to 2 laps long. And so now in GTP, it's about 6 laps in length. In GT3, also about 6 laps. The LMP2 racers, however, not much that we can do there. They already start the race off, or they're allowed to carry 100% of the fuel bladder in those cars, and it only nets them about 35 minutes. So
maybe we should cut their fuel down to about 70%.
Right, yeah, exactly, and make 2 stops, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
really
so we're looking at the pit window now for the LMP2 cars to be 1 lap or possibly 2 laps, which means they'll probably all pop in around lap 23 or 24.
Well, it sounds like another penalty just issued. So it may have been an incident involving the 96 of Milan Harris and the 62 of Greg Brockway. No. And a penalty in this case was issued. This one going to be Milan Harris is going to be given a drive-through for his involvement in that.
Well, let's take a look. Harris is in the trailing car in that black and white Rockefeller Racing car.
And that's
Brockway
what they're assigning
in the purple Corvette. Oof.
Yeah, he didn't have any kind of overlap there, just sort of tapped into the back of him, spun him, and unfortunately for Brockway, he's going to have some damage to repair. Now let's flash back to Jordan Butler and Dalton Fredericks. This battle seems to have been going on for about 20 laps.
Yeah.
So flashing to Jenkins, say, coming through, pardon me. Do we want to bring in a guest, Greg?
Well, I don't know, Larry. It is about time that we have to take a break anyhow.
Well, let's do the break first, and then
and then that'll give us time to decide whether or not we need a guest singer tonight.
All right.
All right. Yeah, let's do that. We're going to take a quick break, pay some bills. We'll be back here in just a few moments from Watkins Glen International. You're watching round number 2 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge here on Apex Racing TV.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org. The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Welcome back to Watkins Glen, everybody. It is round number 2 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsburg. He's Larry Lefty McLeod, and we picked up a what would you call him, Larry? After hitting the wall, a hitchhiker on the side of the road.
He said he'd bring us ice cream.
Well, not that he has anything to drive to get us ice cream with at this point. Let's welcome to the booth, Mr. Bobby Childs from Bobby. Why don't you pronounce the name of the team now? Because I get stuck after Invictus.
Okay, you have to say it like you're a cocky Italian, right? You say Invictus Temerario Corsa, almost like you're saying D's, right? Temerario Corsa. The spaghetti time.
And it sounds so Italian coming from you.
You have to say it like if you remember old Apex announcer, I think his name was Mariano. I used to call him Count Chocula. Yeah, I used to call him Count Chocula in the streams because he spoke like that.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
All right, well,
So
Larry,
can you just go get me a nice espresso?
He called me MX5 legend Bobby Childs.
Bobby's had too much espresso.
oh my gosh.
Yes.
So, Larry, we just witnessed a very, very large wreck. Apparently didn't get a hint from what Bobby was doing at the bus stop. Let's take a look at this and pull this up again.
Is Bobby a trendsetter?
Yeah, as we're on board with Dalton Fredericks now coming down into the bus stop, getting all the curbs and all the backwards and all into the blue
that is going to take him out of that battle that he had with Jordan Butler and pretty much send him. Or was that Ryan Ricmotech? He was in the battle with. I forget.
It looked like I think it was the Ricmotech car.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, now is coming down the pit lane to start his either one to start his pit stop or to be maybe console Dalton Fredericks on the pit lane.
Well, I will
see,
okay,
that's what's got me sitting here talking to you goobers is those curves, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing with the GTP cars. You have to be aggressive, and you have to be aggressive on those curves, because if you take, in real life, they don't hit the curves the way we do here on iRacing. They take a more conservative line where they're only getting the tires up on those curbing. But here in iRacing, you kind of have to crush them to really keep up with the guys around you. But that aggression comes with a price, as you see I paid and as we see Dalton now paid.
Yeah, that seems to be that risk reward there. There's a lot of reward if you can keep it on the ground, but that risk is you're going to do what Bobby did, or what Dalton Fredericks did. So, Bobby, with the new team and the new team name, we're past that now, but it also is you guys have switched to your favorite marque, the Ferraris. And I'm starting to wonder, you were in the BMW, your teammate Bailey was in the Cadillac last year, or the Acura, I should say, last year. How different is that car, and where do you think, is there a pace issue, or are you guys still just working on the Ferrari setup to get it close to where the Acura is now?
Well, there are a couple of things at play. We pay close attention to Owen Carl's BOP tests. We find him to be very reliable and very unbiased, and we all know Owen's a very fast driver, as we saw in the 24 Hours of Daytona and in the IMSA esports. And the Acura does still have a distinct advantage due to the extra downforce it has to compensate for the now well-known MGU issues on iRacing. The Ferrari, however, is in that top three consistently. You basically have Cadillac, Acura, and Ferrari kind of rotating. But here at Watkins Glen, the Ferrari is a good, even with Owen Carl pushing it as hard as he could, it was nearly half a second off the pace of the Acura. It just can't brake as hard, and it can't keep the rolling speed through the corners the Acura can at a track like this. But overall, the car it's amazing to drive. I mean, even with, everybody's talking about, the MGU, blah, 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 the car is still absolutely amazing. You get all the, whiny noises from the brakes and the lovely sound of that engine. And it is just so much fun to drive. It's very stable. It's got the same kind of brake migration system as the Cadillac, but to me, it feels more stable. Like all four corners are doing something predictable, as to where I felt like the Cadillac was a little understeery. So loving the Ferrari.
While we're talking, another driver just had his race end in the bus stop. That's John Sterling, one of our GT3 drivers, one of the Eagle Beaver entries, and it has taken the whole front clip off the car as he was right in the tail of a good battle. Maybe even has a contact in the middle of the bus stop.
Larry, I think he tried to take his car right off the edge of the Eagle Cliff Falls over by Watkins Glen.
He was unable to sprout wings at the last second and fly away, and unfortunately, he decided to build a dam right there at the exit of the bus stop.
Yeah, and I'm seeing Jake Zedow has disc code as well, so something's happened to that car too.
Yeah, that may be. Well, yeah, you're right. He is. He's sitting down there as well.
Yeah, and I've got more damage left than there's time even in the race, so that's why I'm not even pretending. I went ahead and jumped up here, figured I'd talk to you lovely gents. Come say hi to Stubby.
Yeah, Jake's race ended on the opening lap, so there was an incident at the exit of the bus stop.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, that was exactly. That was on the opening lap.
With Tanner Dibble. So
right,
anyway, Bobby, we're gonna let you go. We're gonna get back to this. We've got about 35 minutes left in this action. A lot of pit stops still to come. Appreciate you being able to join us. And
thanks for having me. And
right.
we'll say hi to Stubby real quick, of course, and hi to Bailey Piotrowski's dad.
Awesome.
Hi,
He's
Bailey's
watching.
dad.
Yep.
Very cool.
He's not in the chat, but he's watching. He may be in the chat. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll get him into the chat one of these days, but glad to hear that he's out there watching, and I'm sure Bailey knows and enjoys having his own personal fan club cheering him on.
Oh, yeah.
All
right. Well, thanks, guys. Y'all have a great broadcast.
Thank you much. Bobby. That was Bobby Childs, driver of the number 88 GTP Ferrari. Thanks so much for joining us, Bobby, and hopefully we'll see you in 2 weeks at our next event. That, of course, not of course, but that will be at Motegi for 90 minutes, as we've got now Ben Rose pitting in from the lead in GTP. That's going to move Dave Meneno now up into the lead position. He should be picking up a point for leading, with Bailey Petrowski still out on track. Nathan Ray is going to follow Rose in. So the two Acuras now pitting in.
I think I found the secret to Ben Rose's pace.
Yeah.
It's the gloves. I have the exact same gloves I use when I want to cross my shifter cards. I'm now on my second consecutive pair of them. Yeah, they're awesome gloves.
All in the gloves.
There he is. It's all in the gloves.
There you go. All right. So while we were talking to Bobby, our entire LMP2 field came down the pit lane for their what would be a mandatory pit stop unless they wanted to run out of fuel. Most of them took 4 tires and went back out. Josh Chinsky, as you can see there on our timing tower, still your leader. And there's Chinsky as he's trying to make his way past 3 of our top 4 Orion racers. And look at that, Larry, as he comes right across the nose of Taj Edwards there. And I think we can all agree Taj was not very happy to have that happen as he started flashing his lights pretty vigorously there.
It's always tight with this. As you heard Bobby even saying, sometimes these GT3s are mid-track. Well, I mean, they're also just trying to survive. And it is a tough interaction between any of the faster cars, LMP2s or GTPs, and the GT3s. As look at the train coming into the pits, Dave Meneno leading the way.
That's it. Meneno's in. Bailey Petrowski is in now as well. And we're starting to see some early comers in GT3 as well. Lucas Dragota, Chad Sebring, Dave Klimovich, all in a row, all coming down the pit lane, heading in for service. First to hit the pit stall was Lucas Dragota. Sebring and Klimovich still on their way. The majority of our GT3 racers have not yet come in for service. Again, we thought that their pit window, Larry, would last probably 25 laps, and Wada, Edwards, Dragota, and Dam currently wrapping up lap number 25, so we'll probably see them coming in soon enough.
Ben Rose resumes the lead after Meneno's pit stop, and he's going to have a several second gap. Meneno just at pit exit there, about 3 seconds back from Ben Rose, and climbing with Ben a good solid exit of 1, and Meneno, of course, pit out.
Yep, and here we go. 2 of our Orion racers, Larry, coming down the pit lane. Mike Dam pitting in from 3rd, and then we've got Travis Schwenke in as well. Interesting,
yeah. Both Edwards and Dragota, who were in that tandem, choosing to stay out, and Akira Iwata, of course, your GT3 race leader. You have to stop 5 seconds ahead is your leader, Akira Iwata.
Yeah,
it's impressive.
Getting an extra lap. Brian Bennett there on the pit lane as well. We just saw Bennett in the that yellow and white Mercedes AMG GT3. He had worked his way up in the 6th position by the time he came down the pit lane for service. I think the last time we had checked in on him, he was running in 9th. Alex Brown now moving up into 5th position, not in yet for a pit stop. And our racers at the front, well, in GT3, Iwata, Edwards, Dragota, Filippo Barbary now moves up into 4th position in his McLaren. Then Alex Brown, those drivers yet to stop. And I believe at this point, Larry, the rest of our GT3 field has either already completed the pit stops, or I think we've got Jennifer McDonald coming down the pit lane right now.
All right, well, that's Avon Dorst in the LMP2. That's Jordan Butler in the 72 in the GTPs. And then, of course, your 2nd and 3rd place drivers in GT3, all trying to occupy the same piece of real estate. Almost impossible. This finally looks like Leo Dragota and
Iwata
are both going to come in at the same time. And I wonder about Dragota, why he stayed behind Edwards. I thought his pace might be a little bit faster. I wonder if this is where we'll see it. He could be out first. I suspect he might have been saving fuel. We'll see. As they're in their pit box,
And you'll notice here that all of the cars going up on the jack stands with the GT3 cars, because of the length of time it takes to fuel them up, they can actually switch the tires in that same sequence. So they should all be taking new tires, and we think
just
that
gives them, that outlap becomes cold tires, which
exactly
is a thing. They've got to really watch it, especially the first time up the S's. And Dragota nose ahead of Edwards coming out of the pit box.
There you go.
It may not last.
as they're racing to the line, Larry, with the pit speed limiter on. And look at that. And there you go. Taj Edwards drives right past Leo Dragota.
Dragota lifted.
Yeah.
Dragota let him pass.
He moved all the way over driver's right and let him by.
Yeah, very interesting. Dragota to give up that position. Perhaps it's a strategy here. I don't know, maybe he's worried about being the lead car on cold, fresh tires, but let's watch this pair in the next couple laps and see if anything changes between them. Right now, they're going to be on cold tires likely and have a couple of fast GTPs right behind them. I think one of them is Tanner Dibble going on by several laps down. Of course, Ben Rose, race leader, went on through. So what happened to Mike Dam?
Yeah, as I'm looking through here, Larry, Mike Dam falling all the way back to 11th position, and his pit stop considerably longer than any of his teammates. Of course, he was one of the first racers in for Orion. His pit stop, 1 minute and 4 seconds, whereas Awada, Edwards, Dragota all in the 22 to 23 range.
Yeah. Well, not sure what that was. Unfortunately for him, it's going to drop him down out of the top 10. You can see him there on the timing ticker all the way in 11th place. Trailing his nearest rival right now, 5 seconds ahead of him is Jennifer McDonald. So Mike Dam, a bit of struggles here tonight. Check back in with Taj Edwards and Leo Dragota now, starting their first flying lap after their pit stop. And right in front of them should be Nathan Ray, currently provisional podium in the third spot there in GTP. There's Nathan.
And Nathan racing for Solpec Precision Racing. And he's out of Ontario, Canada. iRacing now for about 6 years.
Yeah, lots of Canadians represented here in this.
Yeah.
It's very cool. Part of our international thing. If you weren't aware of that, maybe you're a new watcher of our series. We've got several Canadians in the field, such as Nathan. And of course, our standard is Mike Dam, sort of our the one we tend to talk to the most, but he's in the field. David Payton, Chuck Urbano, Keith Stein, all Canadians. And you got Taj Edwards, I believe, Jamaican.
Yes.
In the series.
And of course, Awada is racing in Japan.
Yeah. Bruno Belny, which we haven't talked about much. I'm not sure he made it past the second lap of the race, is French. And then, of course, the rest of them that covers it pretty much for now. We've got pretty international flavor here to the World Challenge.
I know you wanted to say where Bobby is from.
I don't know where Bobby is from. No one knows. It's parts unknown.
Yeah, parts unknown.
Bobby's his own special breed, as we all just witnessed. I had missed Bobby. We hadn't actually talked to him in quite a while. He did an interview post-race one time when he actually won his class last season, one of the races. But other than that, he used to jump into the studio here with us mid-race a couple times a season. I was glad to get it back in. What's the butt kicker? I forgot to ask him about his butt kicker that he won last season.
Yeah, I'll bet you that hurt when he went over the curbs.
That really kicked him in the butt kicker.
Yes.
Yes. So that's Lucas Dragota. We've got an eye on there, currently running in 13th in the GT3s. It might actually unofficially be one of the quickest in the so-called AM category, the ones with the green windshield banners we don't talk about too much. Lucas, though, generally one of the quickest He was the quickest 2 weeks ago at Sebring. Back that up here.
So it's funny, and you know the way my mind works sometimes, Larry. You know, we had Bobby in the talk to us, and in the past we've kind of I guess referred to Bobby's interview style as very much Dusty Rhodes like. if you're a fan of the old WWF, yes, absolutely. And so here's where I'm coming around to this. I don't know if anybody saw the photos of the safety car that IMSA used for the 24 Hours of Daytona this weekend. It was a gold with black Acura Integra Type S, and with a paint job very reminiscent not of Dusty, but Dusty's son, Dustin, otherwise known as Gold Dust in WWE, that if anybody's seen the black with gold face paint that old Gold Dust wears, that was pretty much the vinyl job that was on that car.
Those old Acuras are really cool.
I wouldn't know.
No, you've probably never seen them.
No, never.
All right. Speaking of really cool paint schemes, it's Alex Brown in the Eagle Beaver that hasn't crashed yet. In the number 67, the Canadian version side of the tandem here of those Eagle Beavers. And then, we've got a race on our hands for the overall lead. Dave Meneno and Ben Rose in the same shot. We haven't seen that in quite a while. Look at this. Look at that. You can see Meneno chipping away at Ben Rose. The Cadillac starting to come on strong here, nearly the 1 hour mark. That was a good shot of those gloves that Ben's running. I'm telling you,
you think I could get a discount from one of you two? If they're that good.
I got like an 8-year-old used pair that probably smells wonderful. If you'd like to have those, I'll even give you a real good discount price on those.
Larry, you are the ultimate influencer. Is there like a discount code that you can put in the chat for everybody?
Lefty's discount used gloves. All right, so as we flash through these, they continue to race through the traffic. Is that Jeff Jacobs? They just went on by. Lilia Speaker is going to be the next GT3 that they're going to get on through. These guys are just driving through them like they're speed bumps in a neighborhood at this point. Unbelievable, the speed delta between the GTPs and the GT3s. Oh, watching the speed going through that bus stop at 130 miles an hour on entry. That little speed trace we can see, and you can tell even here to the quote-unquote slow corner in turn 6, just around 105 min speed for Dave Meneno going through turn 6. Greg, when you took your CRX through there, what was your min speed in that corner? What was your max speed in the track? It was about 106, wasn't it?
All I know is when I was exiting the tow, the car got slower. That's all I can say.
These guys, their min speed's faster than your CRX's top speed.
Top speed, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, they do get down to the 70 mile an hour, 75 or so here through turn 9. The slowest corner
because
on the
there's
track.
no camber at all, and it's actually an off-camber corner.
Yeah. Well, this lap, Ben Rose is really putting in a good one. Remember, they started this lap, Meneno was almost on his bumper, and now Rose really able to put a little bit of daylight down. Back into the 27s there for Ben Rose. Picked up about 6/10 advantage on Meneno just on that lap alone. You can see his best lap and his last lap for Ben. Rose managed to get one of our LMP2s between himself and Dave Meneno. Meneno's going to get on by there as they go around turn 5, but Adam Johnson was for a moment in between there. Johnson having a decent race here, running in 4th in the LMP2s. We haven't talked about them very much tonight with Josh Pinsky, just kind of doing his thing, 17 seconds ahead of Kyle Strikers. Now, for a while, remember, it was Johnson that was up into that 2nd spot there. He's now faded a little bit back into that 4th place. We had Trevor Anderson up there early on. He must have had some issues as he's now down the order pretty far.
Yeah. Trevor Anderson, our pre-race interviewee, and he is quite a bit back. Larry, I'm showing him now he's just completed lap number 29. So he's 9 laps down.
Gets the replay here of Trevor. Perhaps the issue that he had. Going through turn 9. And look at that snap overspin. That was that.
Wow.
In there, and the back end started to go one way, and it just double snapped the other, and Trevor's night ended in a blink. Wow.
And you see him there trying to get into the throttle to get back to the pits, and the rear tires just spun, and the car didn't go anywhere. Hey, Larry, here's something huge.
Yeah.
As we're now taking a look at our new GTP leader, Dave Meneno.
Oh,
as they came up through the S's.
Yeah,
just a plethora of GT3 traffic here, Larry.
And Rose gets stuck.
And he just ran right around the outside as Rose had nowhere.
Oh, wow.
Well, that might explain part of it, Larry, is we just had a Mustang pinball there.
Yeah, so Meneno does get through, but that was aggressive. And then for Rose, well, he first got caught up behind an LMP2 driver. Didn't quite catch which one, maybe Ivan Dorsey, but then he held up, gets on by, and then at 4 and 5 wide down the back straight. And Meneno, with 16 minutes left on the clock and change, is our new leader of this race.
That's right. I was looking to see which Mustang, the green Mustang, who that was, because Meneno first got him on his left side, and then Ben Rose got him on the right side.
Made another replay of that just to sort out what just happened. It was so fast.
Yeah, let's see here.
So he goes up the hill, and there's Meneno. And you can see up in front of him, that's Rose kind of getting stuck there alongside the LMP2 car just long enough. But this is where it gets dicey as Meneno goes between the GT3
Ping.
and the other prototype. Somehow gets through. That is wild.
Yeah. And got bounced from the left to the right, and still, I'm pretty amazed that the Mustang managed to keep the nose straight.
And let's watch this onboard.
Oh,
Meneno literally playing video games with the field. Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Was that Ruddock in the Mustang? I think it was.
Maybe.
I think it was Russ Ruddock.
Yeah, the green, that would make sense. Yeah, that would have been the 95 Mustang of Russ Ruddock.
Wow, Russ, good job to keep it together there and not lose it. Wow. All right, well.
And so Meneno.
3 seconds now.
We talked for 3 minutes, and Meneno picked up 3 seconds.
Yeah. Meneno has found pace here at the end of this thing. He just ran a 27.5. His best lap of the race was a 27.2, so he's clipping off some of his quickest pace here as the laps wind down. Let's catch back in with the GT3s, at least the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place battle. As Taj Edwards and Leo Dragoda continue to battle it out. There's Russ Ruddock again. Russ getting
nowhere to
all
hide.
The cameo shots here late in the race.
Well, on the bright side, his sponsors are getting a lot of stroke tonight.
Edwards now on the back
starting to
of
gap his teammates.
Yeah, it's Chuck Labano who had an incident earlier in turn 9. Labano now is just going to stay there. There's contact with Edwards and Labano twice. And they're both still going. Lobano's not lifting, and the LMP2 isn't either.
This can only go downhill, Larry.
That's Chase West. He makes it through.
Oh, I'm speechless.
13 minutes to go.
I think Josh Vidal is there. Oh, that's
Jimbo Pfeiffer.
Pfeiffer, yeah.
Yeah. Edwards continuing to try to make his way through. He's probably hoping back there somewhere that Lobano was going to let him by. That wasn't going to happen. Leo Dragotta now gets by that grouping, Lobano and others. And now Travis Schwenke's also sort of snuck into this a little bit. He's a couple of cars back. There he is. He's for position in 4th overall. So there's 2 seconds now separating him from his teammates. Could make this interesting for the 2 steps on the podium, assuming that Akira Iwata continues to do his thing here for the next 13 minutes. But Travis Schwenke would love to get up to the podium if he can do it. There's a shot of that familiar Mustang, Russ Ruddick. Schwenke goes to the outside, now becomes the inside of the final corner. This race of GT3s would be great by itself, even without the mixture of all the prototypes. Alan Jones making an appearance there down the inside in his lead pod racing entry. And then we didn't have enough Orion cars. The last shot, let's catch the last one. Mike Dam, still in 11th, but has made up the 5 seconds to Jennifer McDonald, and now they are battling for 10th. John's just a fan of Orion's paint scheme.
It's because there are only 15 of them. John said they're in every battle on the track.
Yes, they are. Well, we'll come back into that one here in a minute as we check in with Zach Mosley in the Mustang. Speaking of really cool paint schemes there, I like that.
I definitely like that.
Let's go to the back of David Payton, one of the Invictus, whatever it is. Go ahead, do your best Bobby impression.
Snap into a Slim Jim. I don't know.
Invictus Corleone or something.
Yeah.
All right, contact.
Somebody called in a hit.
Oh. And it looks like David Payton able to continue. Mosley had to go off track for a second there as Bailey Petrowski is trying to get through here. That's his teammate right in front of him. And that's Taj Edwards, who was running second in this race. Into 4th now. We're going to have to catch a replay on Taj Edwards.
Yeah, and a distant 4th as well, Larry.
All right. Wow. So we had Dragotta chasing Edwards. It looks like Marlon Jones in the middle of that.
Oh.
As Dragotta goes way wide to avoid the spinning teammate. And there is the 25 of Marlon Jones. And then Schwenke right now on the heels of Dragotta. There's a lot more to unpack here. Let's keep our eyes on the 25 of Marlon Jones. And there's the contact that starts it. And I think
that
Jones
sends Taj
also
around.
Yeah.
Then we saw Lucas Dragotta have to run wide to avoid.
Yeah.
Or probably not Lucas, Leo Dragotta.
Probably Lucas, too. He was out there for so long.
Yeah, possibly.
Well, Taj continues now in 4th. Way back from his teammates there as Dragotta and Schwenke now make up the 2nd and 3rd positions. With just 10 minutes, 9.5 now counting in this race. But I tell you what, those Orion Acuras hit such a big margin. All they've done is shuffle the order in themselves. There's still another 10 seconds to the next place right now, and that's Brian Bennett in 5th. It's impressive pace tonight for the Orion Acuras.
Well, like we said, Larry, I mean, the top 8 cars qualified tonight were all Acuras.
Yeah. Well, here's one of them. Like, damn, trying to make the move on the Corvette. Jennifer McDonald. Very precise, very consistent, always a tough pass. And if that's not tough enough, is that a Jeff Jacobs right in front of her? The 2 toughest passes Mike Dam has to face. penalties being handed out. No ruling yet, or even a sign of a investigation yet of the Marlon Jones-Taj Edwards contact. But the 199 has been given a penalty. I thought. To see who that was. I'll get back to on that one.
Dan taking a quick look to the inside of the 99 car, McDonald. As the time is ticking away, Larry, as we now have just about 7.5 minutes remaining.
Yeah, so just to catch up on the penalty that was issued, it was issued to Chad Sebring in the 199, potentially for some contact there with the 97. So it was Sebring, though, in the 199, given the drive-through penalty there. And the stewards are looking at the Taj Edwards and Marlon Jones. This is the Chad Sebring incident. Not yet. That, I think, might be it.
Oh, if that's it, Larry,
Well, that's how they've ruled. And that was Aaron Beaver in that 97 prototype that had been clobbered.
Oh.
But there may be more to this story, but let's just say
Sebring
there is
clobbered here.
There is a penalty, and there may be more to Sebring's penalty than just the contact.
Right.
But that's going to take both of them out of the race now, with all of 6.5 minutes now left on the clock. The race for the lead is down to 2.8 seconds. Ben Rose, Tracy DiMenetto, and Travis Schwenke is in the pits.
That's interesting, Larry, because he was running up in third position just a few moments ago in GT3.
Yeah, he had passed Taj Edwards from that incident and had taken over that third spot.
And I would expect that he probably has some mechanical issue, Larry, not a fuel-related thing.
There's bodywork issues, that's for sure.
Yeah, that would be a mechanical issue.
All the bodywork, as he has hit every corner of that car on the blue Armco there at the top of the S's, and that is an unfortunate way for Travis's night to end. All right, well, Travis's teammate, Mike Dam, is still behind Jennifer McDonald, but Jennifer now is right up on the heels of that Mustang and Jeff Jacobs. All three of them, 9th, 10th, and 11th place. I guess now it's probably 8th, 9th, and 10th with the things getting moved up with Travis Schwenke out of the order.
That's exactly what it is now, 8th, 9th, and 10th. And they made up about 2 seconds, Larry, in the last 2 laps on Jacobs.
Jacobs' car may be getting a little bit tired here at this leg of the race. By the way, real quick to catch up on the Marlon Jones and Taj Edwards incident, ruling was inconclusive. No penalties to be issued there.
Okay.
But there is an investigation right now involving the 72 of Jordan Butler and the 267 of John Sterling. We know had an incident earlier and apparently had a second incident, so it's getting intense out there here with just a couple minutes to go. Let's catch up with that incident. There is Sterling. Before that, but we go back to live.
And late call coming in, Larry. The 72.
No, Jeff Jacobs losing it.
Oh no!
Into the wall. Another one down.
They are just dropping like flies now, Larry. Just got word the 72 car has been given a drive-through penalty.
That's what Butler currently running in 5th, so
yeah,
we'll see if that has any change to the standings.
And he's on the pit lane now.
I don't know where Ricmotech is relative, if that's going to be enough.
Ricmotech was, I think almost a minute in a rear. Showing 30 seconds back now.
May not be enough to catch Butler for that position, so Butler might still be able to maintain his 5th place with just 3.5 minutes to go. Couple laps down here. There is Ricmotech. There is Butler, so Butler's going to rejoin. Ricmotech's not going to be able to catch him, but it will definitely close the gap a little bit. So it remains Meneno over Rose, 2.7 seconds. Nathan Ray, Bailey Petrowski, 3rd and 4th. Josh Chinsky continues to dominate in LMP2, but the battle for 2nd is on. Strikers Dorsey and Johnson now pretty close together on the track.
Close.
You can see them.
Yeah, about 2.5 seconds separating those 3 drivers.
We haven't given much love to the LMP2s tonight, but this is turning into a pretty good finish, I think. 3 drivers all within 2 seconds of each other.
Oh, Larry.
Oh boy, that's
Adam
gonna change
Johnson
some things.
Going around, and I think that was
He's trying to get out of the way,
Jim
but yeah,
Pfeiffer
he
involved
was.
with it. Yeah,
He was the 3rd of those 3, just right behind Dorsey, and now he's going to fade back quite a bit.
yeah. So that was Jim Pfeiffer in the GTP car, the 00 car, and Adam Johnson. Let's take a look at it again.
And so Johnson actually has the better run coming out of the bus stop on the inside of Pfeiffer, and they just almost like a netcode sort of magnet thing going on there. They just pulled in.
Exactly. As the LMP2 car, Larry, I think was trying to work with that driver of the GT3 car on driver's right. He may have moved over just a little bit to the left and found Pfeiffer.
Perhaps. Yeah.
Just sitting there.
Well, a couple of Rockefeller drivers passing each other right there. Of course, that's Adam Dorsey in the LMP passing his teammate there. That might be John Kroom he's going on by, as we are under 2 minutes.
Yeah, and Larry, white flag is in the air for Dave Meneno. Is that
Yeah,
that should be right. We've got about 1:15 remaining, and a lap is about 1.5 minutes. There you go, as Dave Meneno tries to make his final circuit of this race course there. And I think we can all say maybe a little bit of a surprise to us that he's in this position. But certainly, Larry, I mean, probably move of the race getting around Ben Rose.
Yeah, a move of the year. I mean, it was unbelievable. His pace after the pit stops was tremendous, gaining little bit by little bit on Ben Rose. But yeah, the opportunity that he seized and then just refused to back down. And he may have to owe a little body work to Russ Ruddock there as he went by him, but nobody went flailing.
Well, he and Ben can chip in on that one.
Well, speaking of Russ Ruddock, there he is here on the last lap of the race. Ruddock getting lapped once again by Dave Meneno, the race leader. 3 more corners to go for Meneno to get his first win here in the World Challenge. Urbano there in front of him. He's had his incidents tonight for sure.
Well, and here he comes, just one more corner as he does get around Chuck Labano. Coming onto the front straight, Larry, it is Dave Meneno from SRT Esport, as you said, takes his very first win in the Ricmotech World Challenge. Congratulations to him. Ben Rose will come across the line. He will finish 2nd. And Nathan Ray, he's got one last corner. He comes onto the front straight. Nathan Ray will come home in 3rd. Now let's move over to LMP2, where Josh Chinsky coming down into the heel of the boot for the last time. And Larry, he has almost 25 seconds now on the rest of the field. We'll call it 23. And just a couple corners remain, just 3 more corners for him.
Chinsky just a precise, just absolute machine tonight.
Yes.
Never challenged really, other than maybe a bit there with some traffic early on, but once he cleared that, Chinsky does what he does and takes another win.
Another win in the World Series. Congratulations to Josh Chinsky for your race win. Chinsky, of course, another SRT Esport racer. So we've got SRT at the top of the podium in 2 classes here tonight. Don't think we're going to see that in the GT3 class, of course. Coming home in second is Kyle Strikers with Avon Dorsey. Now coming out of the final corner, Avon Dorsey will take the win. And there is our GT3 winner, Larry, for the second race in a row. Akira Iwata from Orion Racing is your winner. Teammate Leo Dragota will finish in second. Taj Edwards brings his Acura, and I almost said Acura Integra, Acura NSX home in third.
Wishful thinking.
Yes.
Yeah, so very, very impressive there for Orion again, but certainly for Iwata. 2 for 2 now for him in his debut season here with the Ricmotech series, and for Orion sort of showing himself to be a force to be reckoned with. So well done there. But Meneno has got to be the story of the night. The closing and then the pass to take the win. Unbelievable stuff. Can't wait to talk to him. And I believe this might be his second class win. I think he did win an LMP2 race last season.
Okay.
His first time here in the GTP.
In the GTPs, yeah. All right. Well, Larry, let's do this. Let's thank some of our partners and sponsors. Let's pay some bills. We'll be back in just a few moments and talk to some of our podium finishers here from Watkins Glen International, where you've just seen round number 2 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge here on Apex Racing TV.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Hundreds of name brand parts. Expert support. Ricmotech has you covered. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Welcome back to Watkins Glen International. We've just watched round number 2 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge here on Apex Racing TV. Let's recap what we just saw. And what we saw was Dave Meneno from SRT Esport, and I think Larry corrected me here. Dave Meneno took a win last season when he was racing in LMP2, but he is here celebrating his very first GTP win in the World Challenge. Took that win over Ben Rose and Nathan Ray. In LMP2, Josh Chinsky, your winner for SRT Esport, with Kyle Strikers, his teammate, finishing second. Avon Dorsey for Rockefeller Racing finishing in third. And then it was an Orion sweep of the GT3 podium. Akira Iwata picks up his second win this season, with Leo Dragota second, Taj Edwards finishing in third. And Larry, let's take a look. I think we've got a couple of our race winners already in the green room waiting for us. Why don't we bring in first Josh Chinsky from SRT Esport, your LMP2 winner.
All right, Josh Chinsky taking the win here tonight. And Josh, it looked like for a bit you were going to get some challengers, and you just sort of walked away as the race progressed. Did you feel like you just had this setup nailed down and your rhythm nailed down here tonight?
I love this track, and I always feel like I've got decent rhythm here. But I was definitely kind of thrown for a loop as this race prep was going on. First, it was the first race of the season of the week, technically. So week 1, all the setup shops were still trying to figure out how in the world do we make the LMP2 fast and balanced. I mean, I probably tried like 5 different setups, and I wasn't really happy with any of them. But overall, pleased with the setup I picked. Had a lot of prep. Yeah, I mean, it definitely seemed like Trevor was going to give me a fight there, and I was actually looking forward to it. I love having fights on track. So it was kind of disappointing that I think he looped it on cold tires, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, well, it looked like it was a pretty good race all along, but what I'm just astounded by is 55 cars out there on this really kind of twisty piece of asphalt. It makes for some crazy traffic situations, and then as we see sometimes, the LMP2s actually are faster in certain parts of the track than the GTPs. How is that managed? How do you, when you get alongside of a GTP, waiting for them to pull away from you, but you can't really get in their way? I mean, but yet you're still faster than GT3s. What is it like trying to manage all that traffic happening around you?
It's just a lot of patience. It's recognizing where's the benefit from trying to fight this, and where's how could it hinder me? I mean, throughout the course of the race, it's a whole lot easier for me to lift off the throttle and lose a tenth than to try and fight a GTP through a corner, or try and keep them behind me and lose 3-4 tenths. And so it's just working that traffic that way is the mentality that I go about it. But then there's also the instances of where sometimes I was forced to make a lunge, because otherwise I was going to get stuck behind 3 GT3s going into turn 1 or going into the bus stop. And it's like, all right, I can either slot in and force 2 GT3s to really slam on the brakes, or I can try and send it, and everybody's going to check up, and it doesn't hurt any of them. So it's crazy. I mean, Watkins Glen is always, I feel like, a fantastic multi-class race. 60 cars here is intense, and you got to know what you're doing here. So I was thankful that also the traffic was kind to me.
Yeah, it's just a wild night, but coming out scot-free really always helps, and not to suffer the damage here tonight. And for you, pulling around this win and really kind of dominant form, it's got to feel pretty good here at this early stage of the season. But it's going to be a long one. You know that. We all do. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. But I know that you've got some teammates and some other folks to help you along the way to get this win. Yeah,
absolutely. First off, thanks to this Penn Station car was awesome. Shout out to my sponsor, Penn Station East Coast subs this year. If you're hungry and you're in the Midwest / East Coast, go grab a sandwich. It's awesome, especially if they got the ghost pepper cheese still. It is amazing. Shout out to SRT, Caleb, Kyle. Again, you guys are always pushing me to be the best driver I can be, because I know if I don't put my all into a week, you guys are going to be right there behind me, trying to force me into second, third, or shoot, even lower down. Shout out to my mom, dad for watching. Appreciate everything you guys do and supporting me. Shout out to my friends that are watching too. And lastly, shout out to XMS, and shout out to you guys with Apex Racing TV. Appreciate all you guys do and allowing us to have this amazing coverage week in and week out.
All right, well, awesome job here again. Taking the win on LMP2, Josh Chinsky from SRT Esports.
Thanks, guys.
And before we let Josh know, we're only 2 weeks into an 8-week season, Larry. But Josh Chinsky, obviously our leader already here in LMP2, there with a pretty substantial lead, 14 points. All right, let's move on to our next podium finisher, Larry, and that is from Orion Racing with 2 wins in a row, Akira Iwata.
Iwata-san, good morning, and another win. 2 wins now for Orion. Welcome to the series. How does this one compare to the first round win? Does this one feel as good?
Yeah, it feels to be honest, it's much calm race than the last one, but I'm sure the background isn't so peaceful also. But yeah, the pace was really good. This place is my one of my favorite track in iRacing, so I know how to drive around the this place, and yeah, Leo has a really good pace until the middle race. So it was a bit tense, but after he got involved in a incident with prototype, I just try focusing on survive the race, because the prototype the incident could have been me. Could have happened to me. So
Yes.
Yeah, it was very close, and I think Leo was very lucky to be able to continue in that race and still finish on the podium. So well done there. But a good victory for you, good victory for your entire team. The Ryan team, again, strong on the podium. But I know that, do you want to give anybody a thank you or any special mention here today?
well, okay, yeah. I, as always, thanks for my team to give the opportunity here, and thanks Leo for having a good battle until the middle of the race. It was pretty fun. I hope other members and Leo, including you, and I hope everyone in my team have a really good battle in the next race.
Yeah, great racing all around, and well done for you. 2 wins now in 2 races. Akira Iwata, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. ありがとうございます。
All right, there you go. And of course, with 2 wins in a row, Akira is your current leader in GT3. He's got a 13-point advantage on the rest of the field. And now let's move over to Larry to GTP, where I guarantee you the advantage is nowhere near as large. We're going to bring in tonight's winner from SRT Esport, Dave Meneno.
All right, Dave Meneno is joining us. And Dave, I've been looking forward to this after a pass that we saw about 20 minutes ago. Unbelievable opportunity that opened itself for you, and you looked like you just weren't going to be denied. Walk me through that pass where you took the lead on the back straight.
Yeah, it was a really hectic moment. A lot of 3 wide with multiple layers, and I just kind of took the outside, which seemed to be the clearest, had a good run, and then nearly had a wreck when a GT3 started inching to the left, where I, split a couple cars in the middle. But thankfully it worked out, but it was definitely a nervous moment for sure.
It looked like quite the pucker moment for several people, yourself included. But is that just a moment where you say, I have to do this now or it may not come again?
Yeah, no, that was absolutely like, this is going to happen, and hopefully just, fingers crossed, toes crossed that, nothing bad comes of it.
Yeah, it was unbelievable, and luckily everyone made it through. I don't want to say cleanly, because there might have been a little bit of rubbing of some fiberglass there, but everyone did make it through. But then once you got by Ben, you actually started to open up a gap. Did you anticipate that, or did you think that maybe he was going to close that gap back in and make a race to the finish?
I felt like we had really close pace with within a tenth of a lap. So I think it was all just traffic based. I think he probably hit some traffic immediately after, and then I kind of hit some traffic after that where he closed the gap again. So it felt like it was all traffic. Our pace was super close the whole race.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Great pace there. We thought maybe the GTP Acuras maybe had an advantage, but you showed here clearly the Cadillac is right there on pace with those Acuras and able to take the win here tonight. And really, from a point standpoint, it's going to be all over the place, because I think it's one of those series. I think it's going to be tough to get 2 wins in this series this season, but getting 1 certainly is going to be something you can stand on and see where the points lay out. We originally we had thought this was your first win in the series. It's your first overall in GTPs, but you had a win last season, didn't you, in the LMP2s?
Yeah, I snuck one in last year in the LMP2s, but yeah, no, I think GTPs are so much fun to drive, and I think there's 4 or 5 guys at GTPs that can win any week, which is going to make this series a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this could be one of those seasons where tonight's your night. Try to make it another night some point along the season to maybe get a second win, but it's never going to be easy, that's for sure. So awesome job here getting that win tonight, but I'm sure I know you got a big team and you got lots of folks probably watching that you want to give a shout out to.
Yeah, absolutely. Want to give a shout out to the organizers, to you guys as broadcasters, and to the SRT team. Like, huge win for us, getting a couple wins for the team standings.
Well, congratulations to yourself. Awesome job here getting the win overall in GTP. Dave Meneno, congrats.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go. Congrats to Dave Meneno and Larry, as I kind of alluded to. Again, only 2 weeks in the books, 2 rounds in the books out of 8. And the racers do have the opportunity to drop their lowest round. Dave Meneno in his Cadillac V-Series GTP currently leads the GTP field with 124 points. That is 4 points up on Bailey Petrowski, who is in 4th place.
Yes.
There's 1 point separating Meneno from Butler, another point from Butler to Rose, and another point from Rose to Petrowski. 4 points separating our top 4
drivers. It's going to be one of those seasons.
I think it is. All right, as we wrap things up here from Watkins Glen International, let's take a look at what we've got coming up on the schedule in the next couple of weeks. Next week, Monday night, February 3rd, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, the Minimite Sports Car Challenge heads to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park to Mosport for round number 3. It will be our first round of the year with twin 35-minute sprint races. In 2 weeks, the World Challenge. I think I mentioned this earlier in the broadcast. We're going to be heading to Akira's neck of the woods, or I don't know what would you call
the land of the rising sun.
Yes, we'd be heading to the land of the rising sun. I was going to say his neck of the islands. I don't know. We're going to be heading to Motegi for our first 90-minute endurance race of the season, and then in 3 weeks, the Sports Car Challenge will be heading to Phillip Island, heading to Australia for round number 4, and that'll be a 60-minute race. All right, so for Larry Lefty McLeod, for Jonathan Grabowski, I'm Greg Ginsburg. Have a wonderful week, everybody, and we'll see you next Monday night at Mosport. Have a great week.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.